blockbuster trade in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded to the Miami Heat. Julius Randle gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And Trae Young gets a major contract extension with the Washington Wizards. The NBA world is shaking up right now and is in a frenzy a couple of hours before the 2026 NBA draft. We're talking about all these news in this episode of the show. And we're going to start with the major trade that has occurred in this NBA world, with two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo getting traded as expected this summer, not to the Boston Celtics as has been reported lately, but to the Miami Heat, who was also contender for the Giannis sweepstakes, I would say. The trade details are as followed. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis go to Miami, and Milwaukee gets in exchange a very, very, very good return, if you ask me, with Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr, Kasparas Jakučionis, and 3 first-round picks, including this draft's number 13 pick, 1 pick swap, and a second-round pick. This is a major trade in multiple facets, if you ask me. This is really interesting. Miami gets 2 very good players in Giannis and Bobby Portis to add to the core out there with Bam Adebayo and now I guess Andrew Wiggins and the rest of the crew in Miami. Eric Spoelstra is getting some very great veteran experience, which obviously gets Miami back into some sort of contention in the East, as they haven't in the past seasons. I like the trade for both teams. I like what it does for Miami. I'm sure they're not done. If you ask me, I believe they still need some improvement at the guard position specifically. But getting a 2-time MVP in Giannis and a solid role player in Bobby Portis, both with championship experience in Milwaukee. Bobby Portis, who can obviously start but also come off the bench. Definitely a great addition for the Heat. They've been looking for a franchise star player to pair along with Bam Adebayo for a little while now. And just like they did in the past, Pat Riley does it again after getting guys like Alonzo Mourning, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, and Jimmy Butler in the past. Now they acquire the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bobby Portis. Is really major. And I believe the Heat will be, obviously, provided that they can stay healthy and Giannis can stay healthy, will be a force in the East next season for sure. I still have some reservations when it comes to, the pairing of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo, but I also have noticed especially in this past season, Bam Adebayo has become a more reliable three-point shooter. He's still not a great three-point shooter, but Giannis definitely needs some space around him, so that's really good for Miami. They definitely, however, lose a lot of depth with Jaime Jaquez and Tyler Herro, as well as Kasparas Jakučionis that they drafted last season, and for who I actually had some high hopes in the foreseeable future for Miami. So they lose these guys. They get some 2-season veterans who can help them right away, like I said, paired along with Bam Adebayo. And they definitely not done. Like I said, I believe Miami, under the leadership of Pat Riley and Coach Spoelstra, would definitely put the pieces of the puzzles together to make sure that they have some reliable playmakers around these 3 guys. And Aaron Wiggins, as I was saying, which I'm assuming is probably going to be back this season with the Heat for what looks like will be a championship bust run throughout the remainder of the time that Giannis is going to spend with the Heat. Giannis has, obviously made it clear from the beginning he had the Celtics and Miami as a priority in terms of destination. I understand why Miami is a beautiful city with the great weather and no state income tax. That's more money in his pockets. I like that, and I like the pressure that it's also putting on Giannis to get back to his dominant form and be as performant as he can, to try to get the Heat back to the NBA Finals starting next season. There's no in between season when you make such a blockbuster trade, and we'll see how it goes. I repeat it again. I don't think the Heat are done. If they are, it will be really interesting to me, because as great as these guys are, you need to have some competent guards around them for you to be able to get to where you want to be, which is the NBA Finals, obviously. And I believe they're gonna do their due diligence to make that happen, and also they will have to obviously get some depth and probably a new contract extension for Giannis within the next year or so. Milwaukee Bucks definitely embrace a rebuild period now. They get a very large and great return, in my opinion, in this Giannis trade with Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, who was a first-round pick 2 years ago, Jaime Jaquez Jr., a very serviceable player who was really good for his time, I believe, with at least decent for his time in Miami, if you ask me. Kasparas Jakučionis, a very good prospects, drafted in the first round also last season with the Heat, and more importantly, 3 first-round picks, 2 unprotected picks in the future, and this year's draft, 13th pick as well, along with a pick swap and a second-round pick. I love this for the Bucks. It gives them not only a seasoned veteran in Tyler Herro, but also some great young guys, whether it's Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparas Jakučionis, as I mentioned, that they can start developing and growing together. I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Turner is on the trade blocks now, along with obviously Kyle Kuzma. I believe the Bucks are going to try to now get some return for these guys also, and continue the rebuild or at least the retool as they've started, along with Ryan Rollins Jr., who is now becoming a central piece for the Bucks. I really like this for the Bucks, like I've been saying, and I believe they're on the right path. The Giannis period in Milwaukee has run its course, and he delivered a championship. Was traded to a team that he wanted to be traded to, and I love that for both teams. I think the Bucks are going to embrace this rebuild. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a guy like Kel'el Ware is also once again on the block eventually for the right price. If not, I think he is a good fit in that Milwaukee team that is going to embrace a rebuild, like I've been saying already, and we'll be here to go over this and see how Milwaukee embraces this retool. The third team that was brought up in this trade, which is the Boston Celtics, is gonna now have to deal with some internal issues, because Jaylen Brown's name has been heavily brought up in this potential Giannis trade. How is the second best player, who was probably the best player on the team of the Boston Celtics throughout this season, how is he gonna react to all those rumors that were brought up onto his name throughout this trying time for the Celtics? Is he gonna react better, or is it pretty well with maybe just trying to prove that they were wrong about thinking about trading him? Or is this going to be a situation where Jaylen Brown is now also requesting a trade? Or are the Celtics going to continue shopping Jaylen Brown around? We'll see how all this thing unfolds on the Celtics end, but I have no doubt that they will be able to handle this in the best manner possible. I have extreme confidence in Brad Stevens and the Celtics organization to handle this matter as great as the historic franchise that they are, and we'll see how everything goes on that end. Earlier, Julius Randle also was involved in the trade, in a 3-team trade with the Brooklyn Nets, excuse me, with Brooklyn getting Julius Randle, the 20th pick in this draft, and the Bulls getting Nick Claxton, as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves getting the 33rd pick in this draft, and also creating a $33 million trade exception and getting them about $50 million under the first apron in this current CBA. This is really interesting because I think it was a salary dump for the Minnesota Timberwolves getting Randle to the Nets. I believe that they're going to use that trade exception this year. I think they're in the run for a guard that they can play along with Anthony Edwards. The great performance and season that Jaden McDaniels had this season is probably what got the Timberwolves being comfortable with, getting Randle off of the team, along with the deceiving performances that he had in the playoffs this year. So I wouldn't expect the Timberwolves to be done like I've been saying. I think there are some additional moves that they will be making. One of those moves was actually extending Ayo Dosunmu this year. Right after this trade, they were able to extend Dosunmu to a 5-year deal. And that's also the financial flexibility that they were able to get with this Julius Randle trade. The Chicago Bulls get a center that they've desperately needed this past season after trading for all these guards. In Nick Claxton, he doesn't really move the needle much over there, but it's just a continuation of the rebuild that they're on with the Bulls. Claxton just go ahead and lines up as a starting center for the Bulls, which I love for him as well. Also, that's just another piece to that interesting Chicago team with Josh Giddey and all these cats over there. We'll see how it goes for Chicago next season. And Brooklyn just gets a salary dump, like I was saying, along with the first round pick in this year's draft. Randle is going to be able to play his style of basketball over there, be a dominant force, along with Michael Porter Jr. if he happens to stay on that team as well. And last but not least, Trae Young gets an extension with the Washington Wizards. 4 years, $212 million with the 4th-year player option. I love this for Trae Young, and I love this for the Wizards. They show full confidence in Trae Young. A lot of people were not expecting Trae to get such a high extension. I still believe in Trae Young. Yes, he has his defensive deficiencies, but he's still a very good scorer and playmaker for the Wizards. And I'm expecting them to give it a try for a year or two, along with Alex Sarr, possibly and most likely AJ Dibonsa with the number 1 pick this year. Not sure what they're gonna do with Anthony Davis, but they might just if they don't move it, they might want to try it for a year and see how it looks in Washington. And they have a lot of very good, talented young guards and forwards in Washington right now that just need the veteran presence, and that's what they've been trying to do since the end of last season. And I love that for both teams. Like I said, Trae gets a really good contract, a good pay for him again, securing himself for the foreseeable future with a big bag, and I'm happy for all parties involved. That's pretty much all I had for these 3 major news in the NBA stratosphere right now. We're going to be here also covering the draft as it unfolds later on today. And yes, once again, subscribe to the channel, guys. Like the videos, share within your community. And I'll catch you guys at the next episode. Ciao.